You're listening to Journaling with PT. I am your host, artist P.T. Russell. This is a podcast that highlights creative voices and emerging artists from all over the world. Please join me in a conversation with actor Arron Lloyd. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone. My guest today is an actor, international speaker, and a neuroencoding specialist. Mr. Arron Lloyd, welcome to the podcast.
PT, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's wonderful. And how there's spring in the air, right? How does it feel to thaw out?
Oh, it feels amazing. I got to tell you, like, I definitely every winter when New York, I wonder why I'm here. To be honest, I think I like warm weather. I like being able to wear a t-shirt and just go out. So it feels good to thaw out.
Yes, birds are singing. Butterflies may return soon, so it's great. And Arron, do you do any Oscar prognosticating at all?
What was the word?
Prognosticating? Do you like predict the Oscars and the winners and that type of thing? Do you have any interest in that? Yes.
Oh, that's I feel like when I was younger, I paid way more attention. It's it's obviously in the industry, it's important to know. And to be honest, I haven't something that I wouldn't give back an Oscar if I ever won one. But the SAG-AFTRA awards are much more fascinating to me lately. Whereas the Oscars are also great and obviously a pinnacle of acting success. I just haven't watched the past couple of years either because I've been wrapped up that day or for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Did you get to see any of the SAG categories this year at all?
I did. They send some emails. They used to send out actual physical discs for SAG-AFTRA members. And what they've been doing lately is they send digital copies. So I've been getting emails with a bunch of those to watch all the nominees. But the awards have already happened. But you have access to those as being part of the union. So you can vote, essentially.
Yeah. So do you have your SAG card?
Yeah. I'm a SAG member, yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a major accomplishment, actually. So I was curious about that. I won't go into all of the stuff of what I'm expecting and whatnot because probably not going to be on point with that. But it's great to see the direction that the WGA and the SAG and everybody has taken so far. We'll see where that goes. So what was the first film you remember watching at all?
Ooh, that's an excellent question, PT. The first film that I remember watching, the first film that I ever remember watching. I do know that one of the earliest memories, this is one of the earliest memories that I remember of going to the actual theater was, and I was way young, too young to be seeing this, but I was with some adults and they went to see. It was Boys in the Hood. So during, or I think it was Menace to Society. I think that's the one it was. So I saw that one, and all the parts where I couldn't see, they would cover my eyes, and eventually got tired of doing that. It's like, cover your own eyes, but I'm a kid, so I was like trying to leave a little space for me to see. So I think that's the earliest movie I remember seeing was Menace to Society. I'm sure it's not the first movie I ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Like as far as like, I'm aging myself here, but VHS or something like that. But
it's cool, man. It's cool.
VHS is cool. It was a cool technology at the time. But yeah, I would say that was the first one I saw in the theaters. And as far as like what I ever seen, it was probably some Disney movie or something like that, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. Menace to Society is pretty intense.
Yeah.
I think Lorenz Tate starred in that, and he did an awesome job. What about covering your ears? I was thinking,
I know,
not just
right?
eyes. My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. awesome films, regardless of, it's just true to life and just awesome films.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what caught your attention? I mean, like what attracted you to this world of acting and whatnot?
A couple things.
Mm-hmm.
My journey. So initially, I wanted to be a musician, and a lot of that interest had come from just being around my grandparents, and they would tell me about Louis Armstrong, and they would play Earth, Wind, and Fire and things like that. And I really wanted to play the trumpet. I wanted to play the trumpet or the sax. And
Mm-hmm.
when I got into elementary school, they had band, so I decided I wanted to go to band. And school budget, because I went public school, they didn't have any trumpets or saxophones, so that dream was dashed. So, but what did come out of it is that Miss Patterson, who was a music teacher, around the time I was in third grade, she said, "We're going to do a Thanksgiving play," and she said, "Who wants to play the lead?"
Mm-hmm.
I wish that's how things were now. Like, who wants to play the lead, and you could just volunteer yourself.
Right. Yeah,
but
I know, right?
but like nobody was volunteering. I was like, I'll do it. So that kind of was my first foray onto stage,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just fun. It was a way to not have to do homework right after school. And what I really, which sticks with me today, even back then,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to really excel. So even back then, before I knew anything about craft, I think the play centered around, it was a Thanksgiving play where all these like fruits, all these foods wake this kid up in his nightmares, and they say, "Well, he squashes us every year. We're gonna squash him." It's kind of actually scary,
Wow.
like, but it was a children's play.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the whole premise. So I would like study what squash is and what's in the squash and what's in a pumpkin and all this kind of stuff and what does it mean to cobble somebody and all this kind of stuff. So all that
Right.
had come and it was just fun. And then when I got to sixth grade,
Mm-hmm.
I saw my school went on a field trip to the high school I would later attend, Central High School, and Central High School had a program, a peer educating theater program, where the students would write, direct, and produce plays based on things happening in the inner city. So it was a peer
Wow.
educator group. So I saw this and I made the link. Wow, because I also wanted to be a doctor, right? That was the practical
Wow.
thing I
Yeah.
wanted to do. I wanted to help people. So I was like, wow, I can have fun and have impact. I could help people. This is amazing. I want to do this. So when I got to
Mm-hmm.
high school, I auditioned, I got in, and then when high school was ending, I was like, I don't want to stop acting. And I also understand it's not the most, I'm using air quotes here, like it's not the most practical
Yeah.
thing to do. And I
Right.
still want to do it. I feel called to do it. So I prayed. I said, you know, if this is for me to do, I'm going to audition for one school. If I get in, then I'm just trusting that somehow, some way, this is the journey I'm supposed to be on. And
Yeah.
UConn, um, thankfully accepted me. So that's how I got into acting.
Wow. That's an awesome journey, and you seem so passionate even as a child.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very, very kind of, yeah.
Mm. Did
I,
anything that happened to you initially inform your process now at all? Have any influence on it?
as far as the process of creating character,
Yes, and like all of the research that you did when you were a child and wanting to know what words meant and whatnot. That's just fabulous.
yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
Even my grandparents, they said when I was really young, you know, how kids can be like messy, or like if they have trucks and cars, they're like it'll be all over the room. I would
Mm-hmm.
line my trucks and cars up as if they're in a parking garage. Everything like in its order. So in
Wow.
terms of process, it's
Mm-hmm.
really I've always just wanted to do my best. Art is
Yeah.
so subjective.
Mm-hmm.
I could do a performance that I feel great in, but the audience doesn't resonate. And you learn that through craft. And ultimately, I just want to do and be my best. I really appreciate
Mm-hmm.
life. Part of that has come from just loss that I've experienced
Yeah.
in my life. So I really value life and the time that we have here. And I just want to be and do and give as much as I possibly can in my life. So part of that means doing my best. If I put forth the best effort, and this is getting
Mm-hmm.
to answer your question, like in terms of craft,
Yes.
anytime I'm presented with a character, I I just really want to breathe. I want to do justice to that character, and then also I realize it's not about me. It's about the story, and it's about the audience. That's my
Mm-hmm.
focus. That's where I'm
Right.
focused. I'm focused on how can I bring life into this character that this writer has written? How can I serve the story? How can I serve the audience? and then where can I grow? What can this character teach me, or how can I inform the character? What are the similarities? Where do I need to stretch a little bit? So, and the process is different per character. Like some, I'll need to pull out a different tool from the tool belt, maybe do something else to help get me in the scene. But ultimately, it always begins and ends with the given circumstances and what's in the text and what the text supports.
Beautiful. Love it. Uh, just a step back into you talked about the inner city and the acting landscape. How is that for you? Were there a lot of kids involved, or as passionate or interested in acting?
Not necessarily.
Mm,
I would say I was I had a very interesting journey, and I'd say both these things kind of maybe,
mm,
well, three things I think really kept me out of trouble. The first thing is that my mom was, God bless her, she was already a little strict, right? So
right.
couldn't really do anything. And also, like, at a time where I would sneak out and be like, I'm going out anyway, I'm going to this party, I had responsibility. I had to take care and help my sisters. They were younger than me,
Right.
and I would help babysit and help them with their homework and all this kind of stuff. So did that. That's one. Two was football, right? I played football in high school, so sports helped. And then I also was an artist, so I was a jock and an artist, right?
Wow,
So
I know.
I could sit at the
Fascinating.
jock table, I could sit at the artist table, I could sit with the valedictorian, I could sit with the goths. Really kind of got along
Mhm.
with everybody. So that was the journey there. And then getting to the question of like how it informed the inner city, it kept me out of trouble because I had something that I desired. I wanted more
Mhm.
out of my life. And you asked, was there a lot of interest? I would say the Profiles Theater, which is what it was called, probably had about, like, I want to say at any given time 12 to 13, maybe 14, 15 students in there.
Mm. That's not so bad, but it could be better, right?
Yeah,
Could be
everybody has
better for
different
sure.
interests, you know.
Yes, for sure, for sure. But I'm glad that you were a part of all of that. And what have you seen are some of the challenges for emerging actors who try to or who want to break into the business?
I had a conversation with one of my
Mm,
old professors. His name is Dale Rose, and
mhm,
I reflected on what he said, and it's kind of true. Practically, I'm going to go the practical route here, and then I'll give another answer in terms of like artistically how you can break in. I think practically right now, because of inflation, because financial situations and things like that, that can be a barrier sometimes. And I say that because when you are acting to be competitive, you need to be in classes, you need to be working on your craft, you need to invest in your headshots, into the things that you need, clothing
mhm,
for the headshot sessions and all these different things. And not
mhm,
everybody always has access to those finances. The kind of stereotype is this starving artist mentality, this starving artist thing. And then
mhm,
count on inflation, count on COVID, count on all these other things that can be a barrier to some of the most talented people that you might not ever see. So that may be one barrier. And then I'd say practically, if there are like artists that like, how can I have some know-how? It's really just understanding what the resources are. Where, how can you study your craft? What are your tastes? I had one of my favorite theater actors in the city, Brandon Durden. When I spoke to him at a time, I was asking him like, how do you find things that you like? Or I was asking him something. He said, you need to develop a taste. You need to
right.
develop a taste for the kinds of stories that you like, for the kinds of characters that you want to play, and things like that. And for him, a lot of his work has been in August Wilson, and he's an absolute beast at it, and just
Wow.
a fantastic actor all around. So I'd say develop a taste and find the resources, and then find a mentor. Mentorship is
Mhm,
you'd be surprised who'd be willing to help you if you just reached out. So that would be some of the practical steps. Find a way to manage your finances better. Um,
mhm.
and and then also find mentors, and then also equip yourself with the skills and craft that you need to become the best actor or artist that you can be.
Oh, wow. Beautifully said. Where are your books? Where are your books?
Where are my books?
Yes, you should have written these in a book.
Oh, maybe, I'll take that as a sign. I will write a book one day.
Yes. It is said that acting is the most spiritual. of professions. What is your opinion about that, Aaron?
That is beautifully said.
Mm.
I would agree, and the reason I would agree is because I think with acting, or well, we're talking about acting here, but acting, I think, is you're offering up your imagination, you're offering up your instrument. We used to call it in school, like it's like your voice, it's your face, it's your body, it's your heart, it's everything that you're doing to help breathe life into a character. So
Mhm.
it can very much be an experience of like, I heard somebody once say that if you're not exhausted after a play, or exhausted, then you probably had more to give. So it's really, and then on top of that, like, if people didn't like your work, Erica Badu has this great quote where she's like, "I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit," and
Mhm.
because you can't, unless you're wearing a mask.
Mhm.
It's you. It's your
Right.
face. It's your voice. It's your imagination, and everything is subjective. So whereas some choices that you might make, it really resonated with you and what you thought the story was trying to tell, somebody else might be like, well, I don't know if I do it that way, or I didn't like that take on that, or it didn't resonate. But that's because everybody's different, right? Everybody has different
Yes.
experiences.
Yes, most definitely. And that's just beautifully said as well. So it's very interesting your journey from theatrical acting to Budweiser commercial. It's a very interesting contrast.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit on that journey.
Yeah, so this comes when I first got to the city. I'm heavily theater trained, and as
Hmm.
always said, that theater is very much an actor's medium, because it really focuses on actor, and then TV and film is much more technical. It's much more of a director's medium. So I've always kind of wanted to foray into film and TV and commercial now. And one, it's fun. And also, I mean, it pays well. It pays very well, and
Mm.
it gives you more exposure, and it can potentially give you more opportunities. So this ties into the finance piece. Like, maybe another practical thing, going back to what actors can do, is book a commercial, book some national commercials. So then use your steward your money very wisely, so that you can, make it work for you, because you can book today and tomorrow and
Mm.
things like that. But then there might be a slow year. It's just like in the stock market. There's peaks, and there's valleys. So just
Mm.
equipping yourself with that, and not getting too high when you have the highs, and not being too low when you have the lows. Don't let the lows get to your heart, and don't let the highs get to your head. But your question was, how did I foray into that? And it was simply just
Mhm.
auditioning and building relationships, and having an opportunity and being ready when that opportunity came.
Wow. Yeah. What was that experience like? You mentioned about the technical side of and the differences, but how was that experience for you personally?
It was amazing. Being on set is
Mm.
so fun, PT. It really is. It's really an experience. It's cool, and it's even better when the team around you that's on set is cool, and they're cool. There's something called the call sheet, and the call sheet is like, let's say whoever's one on the call sheet would be the person that's leading the film. So if it's a Denzel Washington film, Denzel's likely number one, and depending on
Mhm.
how number one is behaving on set, that's leadership, right? So it'll trickle down. So if Denzel's cool and he's chill, then the whole set's gonna be that way. And luckily for the Bud Light spot, it was just a
Mhm.
really cool group of people that were there, and the director was really cool, and it was a really great experience. It was really fun. We improvised the whole
Mhm.
thing,
Wow.
and I was so blessed and lucky to be able to have a friend that I was working opposite of. So
Mhm.
everything just fell into place.
So more of that in your future. Do you think that you do more auditioning? Is that encouraging for you?
Oh, God willing. You know what's changed my relationship to auditioning? It
Yeah.
used to be, I need to book this. I need to do the. Now it's really, I just have an opportunity to do what I love to do, and if I can customize my life to just really love what I do, and do that, then auditioning is just that. If I It's not that I'm detached from the outcome. Sometimes there
Mhm.
are roles that I really want, and this would be so fun and so cool to play. And then at the end of the day, ultimately, what's for me is for me, and I really stand on that, and I believe that. And as long as I'm doing the best work that I can do, then that's all that I can do.
Right.
It's I don't take it personally if they went a different route, because they went a different route, and that wasn't for me. because maybe there was somebody that was 15 years that was waiting for an opportunity and they hadn't had a job in 15 years, and this was the one that kind of reinvigorated their
Right.
being able to go. So you don't
Yes.
understand when opportunity, when somebody else booked it, maybe they really needed that booking at that time because
Right.
they were going to. So I just have a perspective on that I think is more sustainable.
Yes, a lot of people talk about, I've heard them talk about auditions and how terrifying it is.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
experience, just
It
having
can
to go in there.
it can be. I think this is where my unique skill set comes into play with the neuroencoding, because it's really just, it's all psychology at the end of the day. If you're looking at the casting directors as your enemies or people that are judging you, or if you're going in there and saying, oh, if I don't get this opportunity, I fail, and you link your identity to what it is that you're doing, then I think it's much more easy to fall into, like, oh, they don't like me. Right,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, if I have a challenge or something that didn't work, I might beat myself up. I don't beat myself as long as I used to, because
Mm-hmm.
I've grown and matured and evolved a lot. And it's also just really just taking it as an opportunity to sharpen your skills. Okay, well, what would I do better? There's two questions I ask myself after anything that I do. I'll even ask it after this podcast interview, PT, and I think it's
Okay.
valuable. So I want to share with the audience as well.
Okay.
So the first thing I ask myself after I do anything is, what was great about that? What was great
Mm-hmm.
about that audition? Well, it might be, and the first immediate answer might be like, well, shoot, it was nothing. It was crap. Everything went wrong. I slipped on
Mm-hmm.
a banana
Yeah.
peel when I came in. It was just horrible, right? And and then if I'd say, okay, well, wait, that's not what I asked myself. What was great about this? What was great? Well, I showed up. I made a good connection with them.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered my lines, right? And if I didn't remember my
Yes.
lines, then I'm like, well, I showed up. I was present in the room, even though I was nervous, right? That'll be that. And then the next question I ask myself is, what was great about? What would I do even better next time? So that second question is how you continually grow. It's like, okay, if
Mm-hmm.
I didn't book this, what do I think contributed to that? Was I not prepared? Could I prepare better? Did I not read the play in full? Like, what can I do
Mm-hmm.
better next time? And that will keep you on a journey to continually look yourself in the mirror and challenge yourself to get better at being you, at being a better artist for you, and delivering that work. And hopefully, if they value your work, then you'll book it and you'll be part of the team.
Wow, that's great advice. Very great advice. And I heard you mention the word neuro neuroencoding. The practice of neuroencoding is relatively new, is it not?
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
new modality,
Okay.
founded and created by Dr. Joseph McClendon III, and he has 30 years in peak performance. He's a celebrity coach. He's coached CEOs, millionaires, billionaires, everything in between, and he's taken um, a lot of what he's learned from his mentors and created a new modality that's really phenomenal, and it helps people default to the best and get rid of the toxic 10, which is
Mm-hmm.
procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, fear of rejection, stress, overwhelm, and imposter syndrome. And it's really phenomenal. It's really changing a lot of lives.
Yeah, it's so the origins again, please.
The origins is from, I think it started in 2022 or 2021, and the origins come from Dr. Joseph McClendon III taking
Mm-hmm.
the best of everything that he's ever learned and adding some things to fulfill human potential, to help people default to their best.
Wow. So essentially, this is just my guess. It's like I'm thinking that this is my own mind personally thinking. Is it essentially like brain coaching, sort of?
What's it called?
Brain coaching?
Brain. Actually, yeah. I mean, I guess you could call it brain coaching, and
I'm just kind of summing it up in a way that's in layman's terms, in a way.
I'd say nervous system, nervous
Neurological.
system, brain.
Okay.
Because the unique thing about brain is that we all have different ones, right? But we all have
Right.
one nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you're working with a neuroencoding specialist, that neuroencoding specialist can help you identify how you function and how to get the best out of yourself and how to arrest and destroy and mitigate the thieves of your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the value of that. And then once you have these skills, then you can use them for yourself at any given time.
So you're a specialist, and what is being a specialist in this neuroencoding entail?
Being a specialist means that it's a specialized area of study.
Mm-hmm.
It's not general. It's really specialized in helping people default to their best in terms of arresting the thieves of their dreams. So a specialist means that I can be speaking to somebody, and if I'm engaged in that way and I'm looking for certain things and feeling out certain things in terms of this person in front of me, because I'm not always on, but if I'm coaching somebody, then I'm completely present. I'm completely with them and trying to understand and understanding how their brain functions, how they can get the best out of themselves, and what exactly is going on. What is it that they're not sharing that if they that what's underneath their challenge, right? To help them get the best out of themselves, and how to help them encode themselves so that they can default to their best, what tools that they can use on their own, even not in the sessions. Because the challenge is, people can get motivated for a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But motivation isn't going to be lasting. It's for me or anybody else. And everybody has life challenges, and everybody has 24 hours in a day. So you got to ask yourself, what are the people that are really performing at the top level? How are they being any differently than you are? Because if we have one nervous system, doesn't and we all have unique gifts, we all have unique talents and things like that. And if you want to explore your gift, how can you get the best out of that and
Mm-hmm.
maximize that for yourself? Because when you do that, it's my opinion that you become a shining example of what's possible, particularly now,
Yeah.
because there's so many challenges. You just turn on the news and it's like, oh my God, the world is
Yes.
ending, right? Right?
Every day,
Every day.
something new.
And it's the thing about that is, like, if we look at it, I can't say what's happening in the grand scope of things, but ultimately the
Mm-hmm.
world's been around for millions and millions and millions and millions of years, and things like what we're going through now have happened because things happen in cycles and patterns, right? So
Yes.
when you see people that are kind of bucking the trend of like everything so negative, and it's not to say or mitigate that people's experience, because it's real, people go through real life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find somebody who can be a light for you in the darkness, I think that's a valuable thing right now, particularly now.
Okay, so as a specialist, you're also a mentor, somewhat? Yes?
Yes, I do
Mm-hmm.
mentor. I believe in mentorship. I got to really preface that by saying that I myself would not have accomplished nearly as much, if anything at all, without mentorship. It's been such an amazing gift in my life. One of my great mentors, Guy Charles, who I now can call a friend and brother. He was the first person that in the entertainment industry, kind of at a time that I really had nothing to offer him at all. He just really, from the goodness of his heart, just I wrote him a letter, a heartfelt, vulnerable letter, and he he has become a mentor. I thought it was just going to be one call, but he's like, no, take my number. We can stay in touch. And we've stayed in touch. I think that's over a decade now. So
Awesome.
he's a mentor. Then I have mentors in finances. I have mentors in life. Then Dr. Joseph the third is mentoring me in how to be a much more effective coach, how to get the best out of myself. So mentorship in different areas is super
Mm-hmm.
key to anybody's success. Why? Because if somebody's walked the path that they can let you know what to navigate and how to avoid pitfalls. So that to me is valuable,
Yes,
right? And
it's,
then
yeah,
yeah,
it's
then the
awesome,
key is to
man.
pass that on, right? Once you get
Mm-hmm.
mentored, then you want to make sure that you keep that going. Each one teach one.
Yes, and of course, I'm assuming that all of this has an impact on your public speaking life as well.
I would that yeah, I would say so. I
Mm-hmm.
guess yeah, it does. They kind of all. It's interesting how everything's kind of feeding into each other. It's just availing yourself to life, and for me it's God, and that just doing that, and just staying true to your vision, and
Mm-hmm.
trusting, and doing that. So like the speaking thing is great
Mm-hmm.
because it's really fulfilling for me, because you get to touch and impact a lot of different people, and then afterwards, and then also you don't know what people are going through. Like,
Right,
you really don't
so
know what
true.
people are going through, and words are powerful. Like, they somebody could be on the brink of, like, they've been bullied their whole life, and then you're kind to them, and something that's so fleeting to you that takes you less than 5 seconds to say, they might remember their whole life. I'm getting emotional right now,
No worries. Go ahead.
because that's powerful,
Yes, it is.
and I think that people need that for sure.
Yeah.
Since
So,
2020, there's been
mhm,
so much like addiction, so much depression, so
yeah.
much anxiety, all these different things. You don't know what people are going through. So I think that by speaking, because people have come to like things that I just say fleetingly, things that I don't even
Mhm.
realize. People say years later, man, when you said that. So that is special to me. That's powerful. And it's a great
Yes.
feeling. It's a great feeling.
So in essence, you're ministering to people is what you're doing.
That's a great word for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess, and
Mhm.
administering, encouraging,
Mhm.
uh, whatever resonates with them. It's just I just want to be the best I can to inspire and encourage others. I've always wanted. That's been a through line in my life. Even how I got into acting with the
Mhm.
profiles, how I can inspire, how I can help and do those things. So that has been a through line in my life, and I hope that it continues to be.
So I'm just kind of sensing something here. Is there an intersection between the obviously the neuroencoding and public speaking, in your opinion?
There is. So I'm
Hmm.
I'm a dual elite neuroencoding specialist. So I've been trained in presentation as well as coaching. So
Okay.
part of the certification, actually, not everybody has to do this, but I want to. So I took multiple tests to present as well. So yeah, I'm a certified presenter as well, and lucky to have amazing speaking mentors, and one of which includes Les Brown. So that's been great.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you. What's to come?
Thank
Um,
you.
yes, and well, before we wrap up, what are some tips or suggestions you may have for someone who may be interested in the art of public speaking?
Okay, so everybody has a story.
Mm,
So what I would say is there's definitely a skill in a craft, and I never understood this or realized there's so much that goes into presentation or putting a presentation together. That is a lot. That can be dense. Ultimately, in terms of speech, you want to make sure that you are solid in your story. You want to develop your story, and practically some of the practical things you can do is start local, start where you are. So if
mm,
you're somebody who's in high school and you want to speak, ask your English teacher if you can get up and give a presentation to the class. There's
mm,
also Toastmasters. Toastmasters is the name of the group. You could do that. There's also something called Rotary clubs that you can go to
right.
and reach out to them, chambers of commerce, things like that. Just reach out in your local neighborhood and understand what your message is, understand what you want to say. And if you feel like you have nothing to say or like nobody's going to listen to your story, everybody has a story, everybody has value, right? So I think that first understanding that and understanding that the things that you've gotten through, somebody else might need to hear in order to help them on
Mm,
their journey.
wow. And what's next for Mr. Arron Lloyd? What's in the pipeline
So I do have
that you can speak of?
yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I'll not share that right now, but there's some things coming up.
Hmm.
I'm really excited about some things happening in April. I do know my birthday's coming up in March,
Oh,
so I'm actually gonna be taking a little break. I'll be going to the Bahamas just to
oh,
rest and
I'm
recharge.
from the Bahamas.
You're from the Bahamas?
Yes.
Oh, what should I do?
Oh, where are you going? Are you going to go to Nassau?
Yeah, yeah,
You're going to have a lot of fun. Where are you
yeah.
staying? I mean, not stay. Oh, I shouldn't ask where you're staying.
Well, no, I'm taking a cruise out there, so I'll be on a
Oh,
cruise, go out there, and then I'm snorkeling. I did that little excursion, snorkeling and
okay,
seeing
okay.
seeing the corals and the. I think they said there's gonna be some sharks up in there. I was like, I don't know about that, but shoot.
Yeah, you can do a Surrey ride. That's something that you can do with a horse
Yeah,
and carriage down Bay
yeah.
Street. That's something different. I don't know if you've been on a horse and carriage before, but
You got any good food spots or like anything like that?
well, I Bamboo Shack has like the local is like the local spot for all of the local food and cuisine. But
Okay.
yeah, but I'm sure there are a lot of other places around and well, that serves conch. You have to try conch.
Okay. Conch.
Yeah, we have in conch salad, cracked conch, every kind of like bubble gum shrimp, every other kind of shrimp you can find.
Oh,
But with
nice.
conch, we can have it like in so many different ways, and it's a local cuisine, so it's good to try. Ah, it's so wonderful! I'm excited for you. You're gonna have a good time.
Thank I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So where can folks find you online?
If folks want to find me, they can find me on AarronLloyd.com. Arron,
Mm,
Arron is spelled ARRON LOOYD. If you feel like you want to get further faster, Arron Empowers, Arron spelled ARRON, empowers.com is also a good way to get in touch. And by the same name on Instagram and things like that.
Okay. Well, the last question I have for you today is, what was the last great film that you saw?
The last great film that I
Mm,
saw.
mhm.
Great question. What's the last great film that had me? The last great
Like,
film that I
like,
saw.
like I have to see that again. I can't believe that happened, etc.
Yeah, I would say the Bob Marley movie that just came out
Mm-hmm.
is something that I want to see. In terms of the things that I've last seen that was really really good that I could watch. It's
Ooh,
a form. There's two. Can I give two? They're both
sure, sure.
foreign films. So Amelie, I think, is a great movie that I could revisit. Actually, can I give three?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, because now you've opened the floodgates.
No,
So
that's
it's
fine.
Amelie is a great kind of French film
Mm-hmm.
that is endearing and creative, and I love the imagination of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then Vida la Bella, or Life is Beautiful, is a great foreign film.
Yes, it's beautiful. Mhm.
You've seen it, right?
Yes, I've seen both of them so far, so you're of good taste.
Awesome. And then Queen and Slim is also good.
I haven't seen
That's a
that.
Oh, you got to see it, PT.
Oh
It's
man.
a great film.
Oh man. This has been beautiful. I have to have you back on.
I'd love to.
I can tell that you're going to be really busy very, very soon, so we're going to keep it going.
Yeah, let's do it. Happy to come back on.
Yes, it's an absolute pleasure. And all the very, very best in everything that you do. May it be blessed.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Journaling with PT and my conversation with actor Arron Lloyd. His information is in the show notes. Today, the day I'm actually publishing and posting this entry, is his birthday. So please send up a birthday shout out. That'd be great. Happy birthday, Arron. All the very best to you. Please continue to support the podcast, follow, share, all the good things. Take good care of yourself. And as always, stay tuned.